Good morning. Thank you for watching. I brought you up in this world. I'm Amanda Hurley, and I'm here with our guest, Heather Magill. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first of all, I want to hear a little bit about your backstory. Tell me about your childhood, where you grew up, and how that impacted your view on family.
Yeah, so I grew up on Cape Cod. I am the oldest of 3 kids. So, I've always kind of had that big sister slash, maternal, looked forward to having a family of my own one day. And now I also have 3 kids.
It's funny how that goes, right?
It is.
I was a big sister too, so I had the same thing. Did you ever have like that dolly? Were you a dolly girl?
Probably, but yeah. I don't really have strong memories of that. Yeah.
I had a dolly and a baby carrier, and the dolly would bed share with me, and I would take her to the grocery store, and it was a whole thing. So yeah, definitely relate to having that maternal thing going on. Now, did you take a lot away from your childhood and how your parents raised you that you kind of took with you and used with your own kids, or did you decide, I'm going to do things a little differently?
I think it was a combination of both. My family growing up was always very family oriented. We spent a lot of time together. I was homeschooled actually, so we spent a lot of time together. And so I think that's still something that's very important to me. And then, there are other ways that we've decided to raise our own family a little differently. My kids are in the public schools, and so I think it's a mixture of both.
Cool. I'm curious, is there part of homeschooling that's sort of seeped in there, even though they're not being homeschooled? Do you take them on nature walks and talk to them about plants, or that's what I imagine kids do with that are homeschooled?
Yeah, a little bit more when they were younger, I would say. We don't do a lot of nature walks anymore now that they're teenagers.
Yeah, that is fair. And can you share how many kids you have and their ages?
Yeah, so I have 3 kids. They are 11, 14, and 17.
Yes, so you're a veteran of being a mom.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so tell me a little bit about, who you are and how you kind of decided that you wanted to be a mom. You had a family of 3 growing up. You thought to yourself, maybe I want to have 3 kids. Is that how it worked out?
I actually, growing up, did not want to have 3 kids.
Oh.
And it's for a very silly reason, because it was always so stressful, because everything that came from the grocery store came in packs of 4 or 6. And it's very difficult to divide that up evenly with 5 people in the family.
That's not a strange reason.
And as a young child, a teenager, that was just really annoying. So I decided that I either needed to have 2 kids or 4 kids just to make the math work out easily. And I have 3, so it's funny how that works.
That's very practical. I love that. So did you just kind of come around to it, or?
We kind of took things one at a time.
Yeah.
After my first was born, I was just so exhausted. It took me 2 years to even start to think about the possibility of having another kid. But then eventually, one day, I just started thinking, that could be nice, sometime in the future. And then a week later, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. And so definitely my kids are all 3 years apart. And a big reason for that was I needed a year of sleep, the year of newborn and then the year of sleep. And then I was like, okay, let's maybe think about doing this again.
Good for you. I feel the women that can have them back to back are warriors, but I could never.
Yeah, for sure. And then it was funny because after my third one, after giving birth to my third, literally minutes after giving birth, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm good. This feels right. And my husband was like, yeah, we'll see how you feel about that in a year, knowing my past history. But it's been 11 years now, and it was what we needed. Like it just kind of so it was a one kid at a time.
Yeah. You pace yourself.
Yeah.
Is that your personality in general? Do you like to pace yourself?
Yeah, I think so in general. Like, yeah.
That's cool. All right. So let's see. What do we want to talk about? Yes. So obviously, I feel like maybe it's anecdotal, but having the first kid feels a lot harder than the second or third. Just not having experienced pregnancy and birth. Do you feel like that was the case for you?
Yeah, I do think so. I think the pregnancy and birth itself was pretty like straightforward. I didn't have a lot of complications.
Oh, that's great.
There wasn't really anything, I think, out of the ordinary as far as challenging. But what was really hard for me was like everything that came after. So like the day I came home from the hospital for the next year plus, like that was what really surprised me.
Oh yeah, that
me
was
off
my
guard.
experience
Yeah.
too. Was like that pregnancy and birth were what I was afraid of, but nobody told me that postpartum can come with a lot of scary stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like there's just a lot of information out there. So even if you've never been pregnant before or given birth before, it's pretty easy to find out about other people's experiences, find classes to take, and all sorts of information about that. But then it's kind of like you go home from the hospital and it's like, all right, have a great life.
Yeah. I actually told them I'm not okay. Like I'm not ready to leave. And I don't think they took me seriously at first. And spoiler, I did not end up leaving. So I don't know about you. Did you feel like they sent you home too soon? Did you feel like you were already struggling right away, or did the postpartum stuff creep in for you?
Yeah, I think it was kind of more of a gradual thing for me. And overall, like the lack of sleep built up, and that was one thing that made it really hard, and that kind of intensified as time went by.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I am someone whose mental health is greatly impacted by sleep. So I actually told my husband that we couldn't have a kid if he didn't do a lot of the heavy lifting with that, or I probably wouldn't be okay. And he kept his word, and he was great. I felt bad for him, but it's hard to know how it's going to be until you're already in it.
Yeah, it really is. And for me, it wasn't necessarily so much the actual baby care that was difficult, but like I would have trouble sleeping, like because I would either be waiting for him to wake up, or after, like I would feed him and get him back down, and then not being able to fall back to sleep. So it was just it wasn't the actual waking up with the baby that was the problem so much as like everything else that was around that, and just the feeling that like this is my life now, like I'm never going to sleep again, like ever.
You're never gonna have carefree sleep. Yeah.
Which like in hindsight, it was, going months with interrupted sleep is not easy, but it was not the rest of my life forever and ever.
No, it gets way easier.
But that's what it feels like when you're in the middle of it.
Did you have any support or help with the sleep, or just in general the first time?
I did, but not right away. We were actually living overseas when I had my oldest.
Oh, wow. Where was that?
In South Korea.
Cool. Yeah.
And my mom came out and stayed with us for a few weeks, which was amazing. It's just that you can't really do that. Like, you don't know exactly when you're going to give birth.
No,
and
you do not.
You do not.
Unless you have a scheduled C-section, I guess, which I did.
But it makes it really hard to plan when you have to buy plane tickets. And she was convinced that I would go after my due date because that's what she did.
Oh, really? Moms always think that.
Yeah, all of her kids were born late, so she didn't want to just spend her whole visit waiting around for me to go into labor.
Of
so
course.
She bought tickets for 2 weeks after my due date.
Boy.
I went into labor 6 days before my due date.
Yeah.
So the first 3 weeks,
you didn't have
we
it.
didn't have.
Oh my
and
God.
So that was, that's a blur. I don't even really remember most of that time. And then she came and stayed for 3 weeks. And then she had to go home. And so then I was more or less on my own again for another couple of months. But yeah, those 3 weeks that she was there was just huge, huge help.
Yeah, moms are amazing.
Yeah. She never really got over her jet lag because we would just be up all night, all of us together.
Poor thing.
And then we'd be like napping. We'd all be sleeping during the day.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's it. Having family is a lifesaver. I could not have survived without my mom personally, and my in-laws, and my dad, and just that, and friends even.
Yeah.
Were there other resources that outside of family that you took advantage of, or did you have a hard time figuring that out?
Yeah, there really wasn't. I mean, there very well may have been, but because of not speaking Korean, I wasn't really aware of them.
Gosh.
We had a few friends that we made in the area who, were able to stop by sometimes, but they were all there to work like we were. So I ended up being alone a lot of the time.
That's really hard. Yeah. So what was the timeline with that? Did you eventually leave? How many months were you there, or years?
Yeah, we were there for a year.
Okay. It's a long time.
Yes. But most of that time I was pregnant.
Oh, okay. So you didn't spend your whole 1 year postpartum.
No. So it was about 3 months from when he was born until we flew back home.
That is very hard.
Yeah.
So when you came back home, and by home, are you in Beverly yet, or you're still?
No, not yet.
Okay, so that's when your second. What's the timeline for that? So your second or your third, you moved back?
We ended up moving to Salem, and so my second was born while we lived in Salem.
Okay,
and then we moved to Beverly, and my third was born right after we moved to Beverly.
Okay, gotcha. So when you come back, to the States, reorient a little bit. Did things change for you? Did they get better?
Yeah, I think overall they did. We didn't really have a home base at that point because we had just gone to Korea right out of college. So we stayed with my in-laws for a few weeks, and then we came up to Massachusetts and lived with my mom for about 6 months. So that was really helpful because that was the house that I had grown up in, and so I did kind of have a community there. And my mom it was really nice having her around again.
Yeah.
And then we ended up moving into our own place. We were in one place for a year, and then we moved up to the North Shore because my husband got into grad school at Salem State. We lived in Salem for a few years and then moved to Beverly.
I see that. So you made your way, and your mom's also in Massachusetts, so it all makes sense.
Yes.
So you feel like you found your home for now, like you're going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of prioritized once our kids were old enough to really kind of be aware of their surroundings and remember growing up. We made a point. We've lived in a few different places around the North Shore, but we made a point to be in Beverly now for their childhood.
That's great. Yeah. And we'll talk more about that. I'm just curious, if you were to have the resources that you would needed, what are those resources? Do you know?
I think knowledge actually would have been a big one, just to be a little bit more prepared. And I know during my pregnancy, I knew that I needed to learn about, what childbirth was like, what that entailed. And I knew that I needed to get, a crib and diapers and clothes and all these things I didn't really have to think about because they're just what you know that you need
to wrap your head around
during a pregnancy and to get ready for the baby. But I didn't even occur to me to think about what it was going to be like for me. So I knew I was going to be changing diapers and feeding and doing all those things, but I didn't, it just felt like I would just be me and then there would be this baby here. Yeah. And so I think just knowing ahead of time that there was a lot more to my experience of becoming a mother would have been really helpful. And also just knowing, how important it is to have community and to have support people around and to not be alone all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that would have helped me be better prepared.
So for your second and third kid, did you make sure to have those things in place?
Yes.
And you were more rooted?
Yes,
You didn't leave the
definitely.
country?
Did not leave the country. And then people were always like, oh, you're so brave. Like, you're having a baby in a foreign country. And I was just like, I honestly, I was not brave. I was just naive. And I just had no idea.
You had no idea how hard it would be.
But yes, so we lived in Salem when I had my second. My mom was living about an hour away. My sister was already living in Salem before we moved here. So
Perfect.
we definitely had a much like closer group.
Yeah.
And we had resources in English, which is, always helpful.
That is amazing. I just want to say, I think the thing that about becoming a mom that really bothered me was I became invisible, that even though I was the one that was struggling and my babies were thriving, it was all about them. And as much as my babies are the most important thing to me, and as much as I love them, I don't think that's right, because the mother has to be okay and happy for the kids to be okay. And I remember them even saying when I was getting treatment, you're doing this for them. You need to be here for them. Why not for me? Did you notice a shift there in who you're, like how you're being seen
Like
as
moms
a
are
human?
people too.
We are humans. Yeah, we're people. And my life doesn't suddenly matter less because I have these small humans that I have to take care of. It might even matter more.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think it's all connected, and you can't, like, if you can't completely spend yourself to make your children thrive, because they won't thrive if you're not thriving. Like, it's so important.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about being a mom in Beverly, your life here, being close to family. Are you happier? Do you feel like you have more community and resources?
Yeah, I do feel like we've really settled in here.
Yeah.
And, it's been great just watching our kids grow up here, and they have, they really have that sense of family and community. And it was really fun watching with my oldest, who's a senior in high school now, and he still has good friends that he hangs out with that he met in like first grade. And so it's really nice to kind of be a part of that, or like go to community events and see familiar faces and all that sort of thing. So it's definitely great to be a part of that.
That's wonderful. And what has been like the main thing that has really helped you to feel rooted in Beverly? Is it there a specific community or something that you found?
Yeah, I think that the schools are a big part of it, since that's something that, is part of our daily life. And we moved specifically to North Beverly about 3 years ago. And like we're in walking distance from the elementary school. So my youngest still had a couple of years there before he started middle school. And, he made a best friend who lives across the street, and now they're like at each other's houses, half the time. And
that's wonderful.
So I think that's just, being in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and the neighborhood is really nice around here. Like everyone looks out for each other.
Yeah, it is. So we were in apartments before that, like downtown. So now we like really feel like we're in a neighborhood in our house.
That's wonderful. Now I want to get back to you a little bit, because you did at some point have an identity shift and a career shift where you went from being someone who was struggling at some point to someone who was supporting women and became passionate about that. So can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you and what you're doing today?
Yeah. So I think when I had my oldest, I really didn't have a lot of direction on where I wanted to go in life. Like I said, we had just graduated from college. I didn't really have a specific career path in mind. And then I was completely unprepared also for becoming a mom, and just that huge amount of just how much it really changed my experience having my mom there, just having someone there with me. So I would say sometime in the year after I had my oldest that I found out what a doula was, reading online, and just kind of processing the whole experience. 17 years ago, doulas were not as well known as they are now.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed even since I had my kids, even though it doesn't feel like that long ago. It's definitely, the whole culture around it is very different.
Going in the right direction. It's still not great, but
so I found out from some website or something online about, what a postpartum doula was.
Yes.
And it resonated with me right away because of my experience with having my mom there and just knowing kind of firsthand how helpful it is to have other people around. And so I became very interested in pursuing that as a career. It took me a while since I had a baby, and then I had another baby, and then I had another baby. But as I was able to do some training and some experience in that field, and then since my kids have gotten older, I've been doing that full time now and focusing mostly on supporting families overnight.
That's wonderful. And that is when we need the most help, for sure. I actually didn't even know about a postpartum doula until after I had my kids. I knew what a doula was. So there's still a lot of education that needs to happen out there. Now, we talked a little bit about identity and a shift in identity. It sounds like you had one for sure. Definitely a shift in career. But you're also an expert on this somewhat, right? So I don't know. Do we say expert? Do we say, a professional educator? Is that a good descriptor?
I think so. There's not really like again, this is all so new. Like there's not really so much of a title around it. But
what do you call this? This is a word. There's a word for this that many of us haven't heard before.
Yeah. So in my interest in postpartum topics and becoming a postpartum doula, I came across this concept called matrescence, which is a word that's been around since I think the 70s. It was when it was first coined. So it's a pretty new concept. And I think more people are talking about it now, but it's still unfamiliar to a lot of people. But basically, matrescence is related to the idea of adolescence. And so it's really kind of viewing motherhood as a developmental process, and just all the changes that we go through. So it's really focused on the experience of becoming a mother, which we kind of automatically associate with giving birth, feeding your baby, like doing all those things. But really, matrescence is more about like the internal experience and the physical experience, as far as all the hormones and the physical changes that we go through, which really kind of mirrors what happens in adolescence. But also just the emotions and the identity shifts and the not really knowing like who we are now in this new stage of life. So I think there are a lot of parallels.
Absolutely.
And it's something that a lot of people can relate to once they kind of get the idea of this concept. It's like, that's, it takes years. Like when someone is a teenager, we know that, there may be a little extra, moodiness or just kind of confusion.
Yes,
and
we expect
it can take kind of years to work through this process. But we know what's going on, and we're like, okay, like this is how people are at this age. And so I think when we become mothers, if we also have this expectation that we're going to have this years-long process to work through, I think knowing that ahead of time, going into it can, or even learning about it while you're in the middle of it, it's like, that's what's going on. It's kind of a relief to just know that like, this is a normal developmental process.
Yeah, I definitely thought there was something wrong with me. Because you wake up one day and you're like, who am I now? And and also what's going on here. When I was a teenager, preteen, I guess, my mom bought me a book called What's Happening to Your Body, which was popular in the 90s, early 2000s, I guess. It was pretty cheesy, but I feel like I needed one for motherhood.
Yes,
What's
that's what we
happening to
need
my
to-
body and brain.
Matrescence edition.
Yeah, matrescence edition. So you think on that. Maybe you could come up with it. But now let's talk about what you're doing today. I know you're working on with a support group. Is this a new support group that you've come up with that you've tried a couple of times so far?
Yeah. So, I love supporting families overnight and really kind of getting in there with the nitty gritty and survival mode. But that's not necessarily the time. There's a lot of energy left over to focus on the matrescence and the identity part of it. So I'm also trying to have resources related to that available for moms kind of at all stages. So before giving birth or, before becoming a mother is a great time to learn about matrescence. But even, like my kids are teenagers, or as your kids grow up, become adults, like there's all of these stages where our identity is shifting and we're learning more about our experience. So I think matrescence as a concept can apply kind of to moms no matter where they are.
It's not just immediately
after. It's not just, no. And I think it's really intense at that point.
Yes.
And it can be helpful to have that kind of framework, but it's not necessarily when you're consciously kind of digging into your own development. It's just kind of all happening to you. So the matrescence kind of support and education that I'm trying to offer that to a wider audience, of moms, no matter where they fall in that spectrum.
Now, is this available to people in Beverly, beyond Beverly?
Yeah, so I am starting an online community. It's called Untangling Motherhood.
Yeah.
And it's really a community for all moms who crave that kind of connection and conversations, but without the judgment and the comparison. And it's so easy to think like there's something wrong with me, or I'm not doing what this other person is doing. But it's really focused more on our own experiences and the ways that motherhood changes us, and also kind of the ways we can challenge this idea of like, what does a good mom look like?
Gosh.
Right. Yeah. And we have these assumptions in our mind that really are not helpful for anyone. And so a big part of this group is kind of finding our own ways to be a mom, ways that feel kind of more sustainable, more nourishing, and without that kind of like trying to live up to this impossible.
The keeping up with the Joneses is what my parents used to say.
Yes.
My mom always refused to do that. Our house is always a little bit messy, and I feel like that has helped me to be a healthier person mentally as a mom, because I don't have something to live up to. I have my mom being present and loving and just amazing, but not that, no offense, Mom, not that the house was always perfectly clean. It was clean. It was not, there's nothing wrong with it. And, it wasn't always like Betty Crocker. But I think you're right. I think to be a good dad, you just need to be present, right? So why not for a mom?
Yeah, and I think we kind of all can make motherhood, be something that works more for us. And it's not like there's like this ideal that we all have in our minds that we're trying to, live up to, or like serve this ideal. And how can we make it more so that it's our life, that's serving us.
Now, if someone out there wants to join a support group, join Untangled Motherhood, or wants to learn about other resources, how can they contact you?
Yeah, so I have a website, infantconcierge.com, and that covers both my overnight postpartum services and also the Untangling Motherhood support group. And there's also a link on that website for some different free resources that I've created for anyone who is interested in that. So, and again, for different stages, some of them are more geared towards brand new moms or expectant moms, and some of them are kind of for any moms.
Awesome.
And I'm also, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Infant Concierge. So you can always reach out to me that way. or email heather@infantconcierge.com.
We'll put all of this in the description so you can just click. Perfect.
So
That's wonderful. Let's see. I guess I have one more question for you that I like to end on. What advice would you give for new moms or just moms in general, if there was one thing?
I think it's just take it easy on yourself. I mean, I feel like we say this all the time. When my third baby was a newborn, and I finally had a little bit more of a handle of what things are going to be like, and the mantra I lived by for the first couple of months was never do today what can be put off until tomorrow. And again, it's just like you can almost...
I think I live by that one pretty well. Yeah.
And it's just, again, we have these ideals and expectations for ourselves that are often unrealistic, and just, taking a breath and focusing on what's the most important thing. It's like being there for your kids, being present, doing what you can do to rest and take care of yourself. And just, not everything is going to be perfect, but that's okay. And that's not the goal.
My thing was, I'm going to nap when they nap and not clean up any of the mess. I would deal with it at the end of the day and kind of just throw everything wherever. And like nobody died. So
yeah, perfection is not the goal.
No. Well, thank you so much for being on. I brought you into this world, and thank you everybody for listening. So please tune in for our next episode. And, if you can, like and subscribe, and drop a comment. What advice would you give to new moms? Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.